Welcome to this particular topic of GitHub Copilot AI assisting tool. And this is specifically with automation testing. As you know, with lots of AI tools coming into the market, it has become very easy to set up the test automation framework. And by the end of this particular video, what we'll be able to achieve is we will be using one of the most popular tools like Selenium as well as Playwright. We'll set up the test framework. We'll end up looking at the test reports, creating the test reports as well. You can see we will be able to create something like Alver report with the test automation framework or BDD approach as such. And with Playwright as well, we'll be able to create some reports like this. We'll be able to set up Selenium framework totally using GitHub Copilot, and we'll be able to set up Playwright test automation framework as well, completely used by GitHub Copilot. We'll be using assisting tool of GitHub Copilot and will be able to achieve this very quickly. Now, what we will be able to achieve? Now, it's noticed that there are a lot of tools, AI tools available currently in the market, and GitHub Copilot is one of the pioneer of helping with setup of test automation framework, software development as such. It has helped the software development team as an AI assisting tool using prompt engineering concept, and that's probably increase the productivity of the software development team as well as the test automation teams as such, and the productivity has increased by 55%. So you can see there is a lot of saving of time as well as the skill set that is required from the test automation engineers has moved away from a traditional approach towards a prompt engineering using the GitHub Copilot tools, which are also called as AI assisting tools. Now you can imagine that within AI assisting tools, GitHub Copilot, and especially the automation testing tools, you can bring the best of the both worlds. There are popular frameworks which is Selenium and Playwright, which are well-known web-based automation tools, and the Cucumber as well as being the BDD framework, which is also well-known and closely adapted tool in the market for automation testing. We will be able to generate some reports, Cucumber reports as well as Allure reports, and we'll try to see how GitHub Copilot really improves our test automation framework setup and saves a lot of time. It is believed that this will definitely increase the productivity of the test automation engineers if compared to the traditional approach, and that's what we will be able to try to achieve. Now let's see how we can achieve this. Step number one will be we'll be installing the GitHub Copilot in your favorite IDE, which is Visual Studio Code, and JetBrains IDE as such, which is IntelliJ. Then we will ensure step number two will be we'll ensure you are logged in GitHub account and which has access to GitHub Copilot. Once you are able to do that, step number three will be choose a test tool and test framework for a BDD framework as such. Example, we will be using a BDD framework in Selenium in IntelliJ. That's what we will be trying to achieve. Step number four will be prompting with comment. So we'll be using a natural language to help the set up the test automation framework and details of a public repository as such. Okay. Now, apart from that, step number five, we will choose a test tool and test framework for a BDD framework, which with Playwright in Visual Studio Code, we'll be able to set that up as well. So we'll be using both frameworks, which is Selenium as well as Playwright in different approaches, different frameworks using BDD as a common framework. Okay. Both we will be able to achieve with a single web application. It will be a common web application which we will be automating, which is Amazon website as such. And we will be able to compare how we are able to leverage GitHub Copilot along with these tools as such. Step number six will be any issues that we encounter. We will try to check with GitHub Copilot and we'll try to resolve with the comments and the response that is coming from GitHub Copilot. So whole and soul, we will be trying to focus on what responses are coming from GitHub Copilot and whether that is helping us to set up the framework, a robust framework, which is working model. And by the end of this video, we should be able to achieve a framework which runs the test as well as generates the report. All right, so I don't have GitHub Copilot installed in my IDs, and this particular step, what we will do is we will try to install GitHub Copilot and try to connect with that. So what I've done here is I have opened up IntelliJ. Okay, now IntelliJ happens to be one of the most popular. It's not the most popular, but one of the most popular in IDE right now in the market. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just open up IntelliJ, and once IntelliJ has opened it, it's a JetBrains IDE specifically, and heavily used in Java-based applications as such, or Spring Boot application as such. And what I'll do is I'll just open up IDE over here. So IntelliJ has opened up for me, and currently you can see that there is no Copilot. Okay, it's just opening up a particular project. So I'll just close that project as well. If I go here and click, I'll just click on close project as such, and you can see that I have been heavily doing some creating some new projects as such. I've been cloning from GitHub as such, and pushing some code into GitHub as such, but there is no GitHub Copilot right now in my ID. Okay, that's what I wanted to specifically mention. Now what I will do is I'll probably open up a new project, and I'll just name this as GitHub Copilot. Okay, now it doesn't really matter. I'm just showing this as an example. You can create whatever project you want. This is not related to GitHub Copilot, but using this project, what we'll try to do is we will try to get the plugin of GitHub Copilot. Okay, and please note I don't have the sign in of GitHub Copilot. I have not installed anything in my ID yet. Okay, so what I'll probably do is some Selenium tests, and then I'll click on create. Okay, now I clicked on create, and then this particular project has opened up in my machine. And one of the options that we will have to do is I'll just go to file, okay, and I'll go to manage IDE, or I'll go to the settings as such. And within the settings, you can see that there is something called as plugin. Okay, now please note that this is not a Selenium specific project. It could be you are writing something on Java code, or you are developing something like web-based development as such. But I have just named this project, so nothing has been added in this project as such. There is no test as such, there is no web-based application as such, but this is the first time I'm installing the plugin of GitHub Copilot. Okay, now in this plugins, what I do is I go into plugins and I just search here as GitHub, and then Copilot as well. And I don't have any plugins currently called GitHub Copilot in my JetBrains IDE. Okay, in IntelliJ it's not there. So what I do is I go to marketplace. Now within the marketplace, I'll just search here as GitHub. Okay, and then marketplace is somewhere that you can add all the plugins from here. Okay, so GitHub itself has a lot of plugins, but what I'll do is I'll select GitHub Copilot over here. So you can see that there is a list, and GitHub Copilot is showing as an install button. What it means is GitHub Copilot has not been installed, but we have an option to install it. Okay, and you can see it's very highly popular plugin as such. You can see that 26 million people have downloaded this. It has been downloaded 26 million times, which is like huge for a particular plugin. Okay, so what I do is I'll click on install, and the plugin is getting installed in my IDE, not in my machine, but in installed in my IDE as such. Okay, so it is getting installed. So let the installation get completed. Alright, so the installation has been completed, and currently the GitHub Copilot is of the version of 1.5.52. Okay, doesn't matter for you, whatever is the latest, kindly get that installed. It will automatically show you this is the version. But I am installing at this point of time the GitHub Copilot. Okay, now I'll just click on restart IDE so that my restart gets completed. So it is giving an option, in fact a pop-up alert as such: restart IntelliJ IDEA to apply changes in the plugin. So I'll just click on restart, and what will happen is my IntelliJ also will get closed. Okay, and after some time it will open up. So yeah, so IntelliJ IDEA has opened up this time, and you can see that we had created a empty project as such. Okay, nothing is there in this project as such, but this time around what has happened is you might have seen a pop-up coming over here. Okay, sign into GitHub. Okay, so there is a button over here, sign into GitHub, and you might have noticed a particular option over here. Okay, so this is that your plugin is installed, but you have not signed in into GitHub yet. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll click on this particular button over here, which is showing as a GitHub Copilot icon. Okay, and the moment I do that, you can see that there is a status error. So what it means is GitHub Copilot is not interfaced as such. It is not associated with GitHub Copilot as such. So that is kind of an indication. But in the next step, what we will do is we will integrate, or we will get a GitHub Copilot license as such, and then we'll try to use it. Now there is a button over here, log into GitHub, okay, or you can open up a chat. Now you can either go to GitHub Copilot chat over here, or you can come here and log in into GitHub. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll hover on top of this, and I'll just click on GitHub Copilot chat, and you can see that this right widget has opened up. Welcome to Copilot. So we have not associated with ourselves to Copilot as such, but let's create the GitHub Copilot and a license as such, and then come back here and then get it interfaced with the license. All right, so what we will do here is we will click on this sign in for GitHub Copilot. Okay, now what we are doing is we need to have a GitHub account. Okay, we need to have a GitHub account. So what I'll do is I'll just show you that we need to have a login username password for github.com. Okay, which is like already code repository for the public, right? It's one of the most famous and most popular code repository, or for available for all the developers and automation testers as such. There is a lot of code with that we store it into github.com. So I am assuming as a prerequisite you have an account with github.com. Okay, so if you're a developer and an automation tester, I am assuming that you will have an account with github.com. Now if you don't have an account with github.com, what I would suggest is kind of sign up. Okay, so provide your email details and all that, and create a username and password for yourself. Okay, and then keep it handy with you. And uh, most, and I'm assuming that 99% of you guys might be already having github.com. Now that for that 1%, I'm requesting to create an account for yourself in github.com. So we'll go back to IntelliJ, and I'll just click on sign in for GitHub Copilot, and you can see that there is a device code which has appeared. That's a 8-digit code with an hyphen. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just copy this one and then keep it handy with me. Okay, somewhere I'll keep it handy. I might have to use this again, so that's why I'm just copying it. I'll just click on copy and open. So the moment I click on copy and open, you can see that it leads me to sign in to GitHub. Okay, so there is a username and password, and you will have to provide your. I'll provide the username and password, and then I'll click on sign in. Now you'll get a indication that you are signing in as, and then I'll just click on continue. And here is where I have to provide the code displayed on your device. Okay, so what it means is we had got that 4-digit code, right, which I asked you to keep handy when we were clicking on this particular button. So it is waiting for authentication. I'll just provide the details, which is which I had already captured. F7 D for Denmark, E for elephant, hyphen 7, E for elephant, and number 42. I'll just click on continue. This is the 8-digit code that I had entered over here, or I have got it from GitHub. I'll just click on continue, and you can see that there is a indication coming, right? There is a page which comes up. Now GitHub Copilot for JetBrains by GitHub would like a permission. Okay, so what it means is it is asking for a permission, and I'll just click on authorize GitHub Copilot for JetBrains ID. Okay, so I'll just click on here and it's authorizing, and congratulations, you are set. Your device is now connected as such. Okay, so we have been able to successfully authenticate. I'll just go back to my JetBrains and you can see that I've got a chat over here. All right, now that we have GitHub Copilot plugin added and we are able to connect as well, once your connection is successful, okay, how do you know that your GitHub Copilot is really working in your ID, right? So what you can do is you can come to IntelliJ and you can hover on top of this and you can see that there is a GitHub Copilot chat that has opened up over here, and it has kind of given an indication, hi, how can I help you? That conversation can be started over here in this chat window. Okay, apart from that, how do you know that IntelliJ really has GitHub Copilot is you will have to come down over here and then click on this particular icon, and once you click on that particular icon you can see that GitHub Copilot status is ready. Okay, so what it means is GitHub Copilot is ready to be used and you have logged in into GitHub Copilot. Okay, so you can click on open chat. Now what if you click on this open chat, again this chat will open up, and it's already present over there. There is disable completions, disable completions for XML and all that, and you can click on edit settings, or you can watch your view Copilot documentation. Okay, now apart from that you can seek feedback from a repository as well. That is what you can do with GitHub Copilot. Okay, so this confirms your GitHub Copilot is connected to IntelliJ and it is ready to be used as such into IntelliJ. All right, now that we have done GitHub integration, GitHub Copilot integration with our IntelliJ idea, what we'll do is we will look for Visual Studio. Okay, so I have a Visual Studio Code ID as well in my machine. So I'll just open up Visual Studio Code in my machine and I will just open this up, and I'll go to, I'll close this particular project as such. And we are on the Visual Studio. Now, please note that Visual Studio is not having the GitHub Copilot yet. Okay, and we want to understand how we can add GitHub Copilot in our Visual Studio as well. So what I'll do is I'll open up one of my application, okay, which I had been designing as such. And what I'll do over here is I'll go to extensions and I'll click on extensions, and over here I'll add GitHub, and it will look for the marketplace, and you can see that there is a GitHub Copilot over here. Okay, so within Visual Studio Code there has been 44.4 million downloads of GitHub Copilot. Okay, so which has made it very popular, and Win Visual Studio Code is the most popular IDE currently in the world. That's why it is important for us to understand how can we really integrate GitHub Copilot in Visual Studio Code as such. Okay, so I'll just click on install, and if I click on install, you can see that installation has started. And within the installation, once the installation gets completed, you can see that there is a write widget which has come, and it is giving an indication, okay, this is Copilot as such, and it is welcoming for us via this particular chat. Okay, now let me go back to the folder and let me close this GitHub Copilot stage as such, and you can see that if there is one particular icon over here, okay, so I hover on top of this and you can see that I'll just click on this particular icon, and it shows that GitHub Copilot has been linked with our Visual Studio Code as such. Okay, so So in this case, what has happened is both our um, IntelliJ and Visual Studio Code both have copilots. Okay. Now let me go to this particular section in IntelliJ and then let me search. I want to write automated tests for amazon.co.au website, and I need to I need this to be in framework of feature files of Cucumber. I'll press enter and I'll see what GitHub Copilot is responding as such. And then you can see that GitHub Copilot is giving me all the instructions. It has given me an idea about how to create an automated test as such. If I go to Cucumber, you can see that 3 steps. So it has collected the context. It is searching for the test examples. It is generating a response. So it has given me an indication to write automated test for amazon.com.eu using Cucumber with Java and Selenium. You need to add the dependencies. Now, probably GitHub has understood, okay, I'm using a Maven file, okay, and there is a pom.xml. It has understood and it is giving me all the required dependencies to automate this, and it has defined me, it has given me the project structure as such: source, test, Java, step definitions, runners. All those details have been given. Example Cucumber feature. So it has given me an indication that this is how you will have to create a feature file, and step definitions as well, how to set up the step definitions and WebDriver details as such. Example Cucumber runner, this is the runner file, how you will have to define it. Okay, now it is giving a reference as well using one reference. So it has taken the reference that there is a pom.xml file and it has written this particular script for me. Okay, now please note that I have not specifically said that there is a Selenium tool that I'm going to use, but GitHub Copilot has given me kind of an indication that this is how you will be using Cucumber with Java and Selenium. Okay. Now what I'll do is I'll just copy this particular prompt which I have written. I'll go to Visual Studio and I'll write in the Copilot chat, I'll write this same sentence, and this time around I'll press enter, and in Visual Studio Code, so it is giving me an understanding, okay, you have not, it looks like you have not set up the tests yet in this repository. So would you like to set up? Yes, I would like to set it up. And then it has understood that I was using a React app. Okay, so this framework that I have currently in my Visual Studio Code is a React app for a different particular React application as such, because it could read my code within the source, and then it could understand, okay, there is a .jsx, .js files, and source app.test. So it is giving me a couple of options over here, picking up a test framework. Okay, pick up from these options. So it is giving me an indication whether it's a jest or vi test which I need. So all that is understood. Okay, now what I'll do is I don't want jest, I don't want VI test, I want to write the test in my Playwright. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll create a new framework. Okay, let me create a new folder. Okay, I'll close this folder. So I'll just specifically close this folder and I'll create a new folder. Okay, so I'll go to open folder. I have selected a folder and this folder is totally empty. Okay, so I trust, yes, I trust this folder. Now you can see that I don't have anything in my folder. Okay, so GitHub Copilot is probably understood that there is nothing in this folder. When we were using it with a project, it could understand that this is a React application. Now I will enter details like I want to write automated tests for Amazon.com website, and this needs to be in a framework of Cucumber. Okay. and then I'll press enter on my keyboard. Okay, so here I have understood that there is no workspace as such to generate test. Open a file and select the code to test. So what it's expecting is that there is no tests or there is no code as such which can generate the test as such. Okay, I will slightly tweak my statement and I'll just say cucumber, not cucumber, but I'll just framework of Playwright. Okay, so I'll just write this statement and then press enter. And it has given me an indication to write automated tests for Amazon.com using Playwright with Cucumber framework. Follow these steps. Okay, so it is giving me all the steps that I need to follow. And because I specifically mentioned about Playwright, it is giving me that all these indications needs to be done. Okay, so you have to set up the configuration and you have to run this test, which is set up your project. So it is asking me to open your terminal in your project and run, and then project structure example, and then sample feature files, and then step definition as well, which can be done. And then you can see that Cucumber configuration file needs to be set up and then run your test. So what has happened in this case, right? In both of the case, you can see what GitHub Copilot is doing is it is giving the structure, but it doesn't know what to test, okay, and what you need to test. Okay, you might so GitHub Copilot in case of IntelliJ, what it has given me is that feature is Amazon search. Okay, search for a project. I am on Amazon Australia home, and then I search for laptop. I should see search results for laptop as such. Okay, now if I scroll down a little bit, it can show me that there is a step definition. Okay, now it is kind of giving me an indication, okay, this is the driver, new driver needs to be set up, and then it will call amazon.com.au, and then we can come down below, search for a particular product. Okay, so GitHub Copilot doesn't know which product to be selected, okay, whether, and the XPaths that needs to be provided. Okay, so GitHub Copilot doesn't know it yet. As an automation tester, you have to understand, okay, this is what I need to specifically add so that particular elements are added. Okay, that's where the difference between an automation tester and GitHub Copilot really comes handy. But GitHub Copilot is good enough to give you setup of framework, like it has given you the steps. This is the steps that you need to perform. Okay, because it doesn't want you to feel lost. Okay, it is setting up the framework for you, and you have to set up the framework now. In both cases, right? So you have to run these particular command lines and then set up the framework as such. Okay, so GitHub Copilot helps in these kind of things. You need not search it outside, look for Stack Overflow or any particular tests that helps you, but it will give you the commands that you need to set up so that it is easier for you and saves time. You need not go and look for the framework as such. It will help set it up for you. Okay, now let's do this. Let's set it up in the next video. Let's set it up so that it works for you as such. All right. Now in this particular video, what we'll do is we will try to put some more questions to GitHub Copilot, and we will try to get some more details out of it. So you can see that GitHub Copilot has given certain details. So this particular framework is what we have requested for, right? I want to write automated tests for amazon.co.au website, and I need this to be in a framework of Cucumber. So what GitHub Copilot has done, it has given me all the details that I will have to enter in the dependency sections of pom.xml, and then I'll have to create these project structure example and create feature files and step definition. So please note that when we say about Cucumber, right? Cucumber is a BDD framework, which is a behavior driven framework, right? Which is very common currently in the market. And Selenium is an automation tool. Now, Selenium as an automation tool, it requires the Selenium APIs to be added in our pom.xml. Okay, so all this kind of details is provided by GitHub Copilot. So uh, let's look at what details have been given in the Selenium message when we look at the test. So if you see over here, right, in the when, what it's doing is it's launching amazon.com.au. So let based on what the test automation engineers are supposed to do is they are supposed to validate what is being given by generative AI or GitHub Copilot or AI tools as such. Okay, they cannot blindly copy what has been given by AI tool as such, but it helps to review what all details have been given by AI tool as such. Now you can see that what we are doing is we are trying to automate a website, publicly available website, which is amazon.com.au. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just go to amazon.com.au. Okay, and over here you can see that there is a search box over here, right? So what GitHub Copilot has given is I search for this particular thing. Okay, so what it's doing is there is a search box, and in the search box it has given details about an XPath. Okay, so not XPath, but there is a element locator which is by.id. Okay, so what GitHub Copilot is giving is trying to find this element by.id, which is two tab search text box as such. Okay, now please note that what GitHub Copilot is given as an ID over here. So let me open up amazon.com and let me try to right click on this text box and then inspect element as such. Okay, now let me have a look at the inspect element of this search box. Okay, so what I've done is amazon.com.eu, I've gone to the search text box, I'll right clicked, I am inspecting the element, and you can see that there is an element over here id equal to 2 tab search text box. Okay, so what it means is it has already picked up the id from this website. Okay, so which is very cool, right? Now you don't have to specifically look for this particular element. Okay, automatically GitHub Copilot has given to you that find this element, two tab search, and this element is going to be unique, right? Because it's an ID. So uh, the element locators are specifically very much confined to uniqueness, and it has to be unique, otherwise Selenium will not be able to find. And ID is a element locator which is very much useful in this case of identifying this element. So if we go back, right, and we look for this particular element as such, we are able to see two tab search. Now let's minimize, let's go back, and then you can see that we are performing a search box send query. Okay, so there is a query, and then we are clicking on submit as such. Okay, so search box dot submit we are performing, and you can see that there is a query string as a query. Now if the string is a query, where exactly the string is coming is when I search for laptop. Okay, so this is the string, and this is getting passed over here. So the query is being sent here, and then we are performing a submit. Okay, search box submit as such. That is a clean mechanism of defining our test step as well. And let's use these steps, and hopefully it should make sense. So what I do is I'll copy this code block. Okay, so you can get an indication GitHub Copilot, there's a the code block is copied. I'll come to pom.xml. Okay, now look, please note that GitHub Copilot is your co-pilot. Okay, it's helping you, it is assisting you. So you should be knowing where exactly you have to add these dependencies. Okay, so if you have previously worked in Maven related projects, you might have understood that this is a project, there is a pom.xml inside this project, and within the project to project, there has to be a tag called dependencies. Okay, so you need to have certain kind of idea before you start using it. Now, please note what I did over here is I came over here and I did not type anything. But when I am trying to enter something, right, it has given me some details over here. Now you should be, as an automation engineer, you should be careful on whether you have to accept this or not. right? So if you have to accept it, what you can do is you can right click, you can click on tab, and then click on enter. And then I'm coming to keyboard, I'm pressing enter, and you can see the automatically this particular dependency has got created. Now if you are not interested in this particular dependencies, what you can do is you can remove this dependency, okay, and what you have copied from the code block over here, you paste it over here. Okay, what it means is you have added the dependency and the dependency is not linked yet. Okay, so there is an M come over here, sync Maven changes. You can click on that, and once you click on that, a resolving dependencies is happening over here. Okay, resolving Maven dependencies is happening. You can clearly see that there is a running background task as such, and indexing is happening. Okay, so this is very pretty quick as well, and the resolution resolving of indexes has happened, and our Selenium web drivers have got added. Now one good thing you would have understood by this time now is that the dependencies are added and we need not specifically look for the version, as we would go into a Maven repository and pull it up. GitHub has given the details, the version of Selenium that would work, the Cucumber, the JUnit and all that is kind of given by GitHub Copilot. Okay, now the project structure example. Now what we will do is we'll start with the step number 2. We'll go to source, and within source we'll go to test, and within test there is a Java folder. Okay, so what is GitHub Copilot doing, giving us an indication is that we will try to create a particular project structure. Okay, within Java there is two folders that I have to create. So one will be a Java class folder. Okay, so that is also kind of given to us, that Java step definition files. So here I'll add a package, and over here I'll provide the details of step definitions. Okay, so I'll enter step definitions and press enter, and within Java I'll right click and I'll add a package, and I'll give the runners and then press enter. Now within Java folder as such, okay, step definitions, there will be Java step definition files. Okay, and within source, and there is another folder which we have created, which is runners. Okay, which will contain the Cucumber runner class as such. Now within source there is another folder which is test, and within test there is another folder that we have to create, which is resources. Okay, so what I'll do is under test I'll right click, I'll click on directory, and then I'll once I click on directory, you can see that the Maven source directories is there. I'll select resources, and you can see that resources has been created over here. I'll just right click and then add features as my folder. Okay, now within Java there is a runner file, and you can see that the step number 2 has been completed. Okay, so we have got the structure which has been advised by GitHub Copilot, that is a runner step definition, resources, features. Now within the resources we can create Cucumber feature file. Okay, so I'll just copy this Cucumber feature file, I'll come back. You can see that there is a indicative alert message coming as well, that there is a copy code block. I'll just right click, I'll just click on file, and within the file I'll add over here as search dot feature, and then we'll enter over here. The moment I do that, this has got converted into a Cucumber file. Okay, you have noticed that it has become a Cucumber file. Now if you are not able to see this Cucumber kind of icon over here, what you can do is you can go to file, you can go to settings, and within the settings you can add the plugin which is Cucumber. Okay, so I have already done that, but if you have not added Cucumber as your plugin, then this won't work. Okay, so it is important to know some of the things like related to automation as such, related to Cucumber icons as such, which gives you an added advantage. Okay, now I'll just copy this particular Amazon search, and then I'll come to step definitions. Okay, now within the search step definitions, we have to create another file. I'll right click and I'll create a Java class file. Okay, so here I'll add search steps dot Java, and it has created search steps Java folder as such. Okay. And now what we will do is we will copy this code block and then paste it over here, and you can see that set package name has been set up as step definition. Okay. Now, now you might have noticed that this was quick. We have got our feature file, we have got our step definition, and now what is being advised to us is that we have to add the runner file. Okay, so within the runners there will be a file called as run cucumber test.java. So what we will do is right click and then we will create a Java file or a Java class. Now the name of that will be run cucumber test.java and then press enter. Now you can see that example cucumber runner file as such, and I'll copy and then I'll come over here. I'll then add this particular runner file as such, runner cucumber test.java file, which has been added. Okay, so you can see our test has been created and it literally took us less than maybe 5 minutes or 10 minutes as such. Okay, everything is very fast because we got assistance from GitHub Copilot in this case. Now let's do one thing. Now let's come here and click on this run a file as such, and let's run our test. So you can see the build is starting and starting Cucumber file, and the Amazon search has started, and you can see the test has failed. Click the button to continue shopping. So it looks like we got an error over here. That is, we were expecting particular amazon.com.au to start, but it has encountered this kind of button. Okay, and I have clicked on continue and this particular page has opened up. Now let me close this. So it's not that you will get the first test run as successful, because you might encounter these kind of errors during running your test, which has been copy pasted from GitHub Copilot as such. So it is important that you kind of debug these kind of issues. Okay, so what has happened is even though our website opened up, it looked for, it was appearing little different. It was expecting a button to be clicked which is continue shopping and then only go for search text box. That's why it failed. Okay, now we will try to rerun. Okay, now I'll just click on run cucumber test as such. So run cucumber test will go into, so now this time around you can see that the search for a product has passed, and the test step also has passed as such. Okay, now we would require to add some weights. Okay, so in case what if there is a time that it takes for this identification of a cert value. Okay, so what we can do is we will just copy this statement, we'll go to the chat, and I can just write over here, I want to add an explicit weight until the element is found before the assert statement. So in case we add this particular statement, I want to add an explicit wait until the element is found before the assert statement, assert true. Now, what I've done is I have added a working set. Okay, so working set is I want to search in this particular Java file. Okay, so how do you do is that you add a file. So GitHub Copilot gives all those indications like which file do you want to check, and I want to check it in this Java file, search steps.java. So I want to add a particular explicit wait for this one. Okay, and post I do that, what will happen is I can push this to ChatGPT and ChatGPT will give me an answer. Add an explicit wait for this one, that one. Now let me show you again. Okay, so I'm just selecting this one, search steps Java. Selection is done. And once I added the file, what I want to say is I want to add explicit. Okay, so I'll just Control C and then Control V and then I'll click on send. And what GitHub Copilot is doing is it's kind of generating a response. And based on generating a response, you can see what GitHub Copilot has done to me. Okay, now for this code, GitHub Copilot has given me an instance that it wants to add something. Okay, this particular wait for the results to a results container to be present. So there is a duration of 10 seconds. That is what it will be given. Wait until expected condition and presence of element locator. So those who have worked in Selenium, they are aware that Selenium requires exclusive wait, explicit waits, or implicit waits as such. Otherwise, the tendency of the failure increases highly. Okay, and that's why I gave a prompt to get GitHub Copilot that I want to add a wait before this particular statement, and GitHub Copilot has kind of given me, do you want to accept this or not? Okay, now there is a choice over here. I can accept all or I can discard all. Okay, so there are two areas where GitHub Copilot is giving me an indication, that is it's importing the WebDriver wait, expected condition and duration. Three lines of code getting changed over here and three lines of code getting added over here as well. Okay, both is adding, not changed but added. And once you accept it, right, so I can click on this green button and then you can see that it got accepted. And if I'm happy with the code that is present over here, then I accept it or I can discard it. Okay, so let me accept it. And once accepted is the weight has been added. So you can do either of the things. You can add working set or you can directly add statements like this, that I want to just make an automation scripts or BDD frameworks for websites. So GitHub Copilot is very flexible. It can look at your code. Um, it can try to generate a test for your automation for your web development code as well, and that is a separate topic altogether, but I wanted to specify that it is possible. Now what I will do is I'll go back to my runner file. I'll just go to run cucumber test and I'll just click on this run cucumber. So the moment I click on it, you can see the build is starting and it's passing dependency. We'll wait for the the browser to open up. It has opened up the browser. It has clicked on laptop. And then you can see, because we had added wait in our test, it has automatically passed as well. It has added the test as well. Okay. So this is how we can use GitHub Copilot. It does save time. Uh, and you can see that we have the chat capability and automatic sensing capability as well. Like if I want to add one more at the rate then statement. So in this case, now what I'll do is with this whole setup of the framework, now it looks like we will be able to use to do some more testing related to Amazon search. Okay, so what I'll do is Copilot, and this will be an ask. Hi, Copilot, I want to add one more test in this framework, which does reusability in my automation scripts. So I'll just type this and press enter. So GitHub Copilot is trying to analyze, and then it is giving me one more scenario. Okay, update your feature file. So this is a search. Okay, to add a reusable test, you can use a new scenario in your feature file. In your step definition, the given step is now reusable for both scenarios. No code changes are needed if you already have steps implemented as shows previously. Okay. Now what I'll do is, can I use examples in the feature file? So all in all, you should be understanding, okay, this is the BDD framework as such. And you can see now it has changed. The GitHub Copilot has changed its response. Okay, first initially what it was asking me to do is it was asking me to use two scenarios. Okay, now because I knew about BDD framework, that's why I knew that example is a very great method to add it in the feature file. Okay, so you need to have some kind of understanding about the framework so that whatever is being said by the GitHub Copilot, you do not accept it, but you kind of refine it. Okay, so because I mentioned can I use examples in my feature file, now it has, what it has done is it has refactored the code. It has changed the code and it has given me a feature file which is having examples. Okay, now what I'll do is I'll copy this and then I'll replace this with my Amazon search. Okay, now you can see that there are different run buttons. Now you, if you click on this run single line, what will happen is it will take only laptop as your search criteria, book as your search criteria. If you click on this particular, and if I click on this particular button, what will happen is run, it will run all three tests. Okay, so if you note, what has happened is um, it is giving me an instance how to reuse the code, how can change my code, and it was very quick, and then it is easy for using that code as well. So if I go here and if I click on run, let me click on run and let me see how the test run, and let's see. Now it has clicked on laptop as such. So the first test is completed. Now you can see sometimes, right, we are getting this pop-up, continue shopping. So Copilot has not understood yet that we are getting this particular button. So it is better if it is present, then we click on this particular button as such. So what I will do is I'll come here, I'll come to my run as such, and you can see that it tried to run 3 out of 3 scenarios, and out of that, let me see that it has 9 steps, out of which 5 have passed, 2 have failed. Now in 2 cases, in both of the cases, what has really happened is the web page opens up and there is a continue shopping. So what might have happened is Copilot understood, okay, there will be a search bar, but it sometimes the website itself doesn't behave um, as is. So what I'll ask is, while opening up amazon.co.au, sometimes it fails because a button called as continue shopping is appearing right after the web browser is launched. And I'll just click on send, and what it has done, it has now given me a code. Okay, so let me see the code. So what is doing is, this is likely a modal or pop-up that sometimes appears. To handle it, add a step in your at the rate given method to check for and close the continue shopping button if it appears. Okay, and that's exactly what I wanted, right? I just gave a natural language to GitHub Copilot and it has given me a solution which is deriving this. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just come here. I will come to my search steps button. Okay, now this is where I am providing the driver dot chrome driver, right? So what it's doing is it has given me this particular line of code. So what I'll do is I'll just copy it and come here and add it in my code. Okay. And let me see whether a WebDriver wait. Okay, so the WebDriver wait, expected condition, duration, and all that has been already added. So which is fine. And what it would do in this case, it would handle website of amazon.com.au. Okay, now it will handle that and it will adjust the locator as if needed. Okay, adjust the locator as needed if the button has a different ID or text. Okay, now continue shopping. Let me see. This is what is appearing, isn't it? So if the button contains text, continue shopping, and then it will click on that button. Okay, so that is what it is doing. Now, hopefully, my solution is found out. Okay, in case the continue shopping button comes in, it will handle it. So I'll go back to my Cucumber, or I'll go back to my search.feature file, and I'll try to run all these tests. Okay, now I'll click on search for a product, and this time around it has clicked on continue shop. So you can come here and just type a specific then statement, and GitHub Copilot, what it will do, it will automatically try to suggest something. Okay, and it's up to you whether you want to really accept it. So if you hover on top of this, and if you uh, press enter button on your keyboard, then it will get added. And that's kind of a very good suggestive, right? It's kind of a generative AI which kind of suggests you what really do you want to get suggested on. Okay, so do you want to really accept it or you want to reject it? And same happens with other files as well. So what I can do is I'll remove this. I don't want this then statement as such. I can go here into the feature file, and then I can add something, right? So if I press and, for example, you can see that GitHub Copilot is kind of suggesting me, do you want to add this particular word? Now it's up to you, right? So if I press enter, for example, I can add this word and then I can modify this word, right? So you can see that I should see the search bar that contains laptops. So basically, uh, GitHub Copilot is kind of assisting us, and assisting us in a very good way, so that it kind of saves time in a sense where, in case we are doing a monotonous activity, there is someone to help us on the go. And that is what the Copilot meaning gives to, and kind of justice to this particular tool, which is GitHub Copilot, is because it is assisting us in suggestion of the coding as such. Okay, so hopefully it makes sense. And we have got the results as one scenario passed and three test steps passed as well. Okay, so this time around, um, we have got Copilot answering us that we want to modify certain things based on how the application is working. And we have used it in GitHub Copilot, and we have run or reran our tests, and the tests are passing as such. Okay. So this is the crux of it. You can see that if we want to integrate some other test steps as well, or Allure report as well, we can do that. And I'll just add over here, I want to add Allure report with this framework, and then I'll just press enter. And GitHub Copilot is giving certain details to add Allure report to your Java Maven framework. Follow these steps. So it is giving me another steps now to to configure Allure report. These are the steps, and we can generate the Allure report as well. So um, what I can do is I can add this particular dependency. So if I copy this, you can see the GitHub Copilot copied, and I'll go to pom.xml. I'll add the dependency. So this is the dependency that I have to add for Allure report, and I'll just paste it over here. And I'll have to click on this particular sync Maven changes, only then it will work. I'll copy, I'll come here. I'll click on this particular M, which is Maven changes as such, and it is resolving the dependencies. And apart from that, I'll have to add the build. Okay, so now the build has to be outside of the dependencies. I'll add that, and then I'll click on this particular sync Maven changes, and it gave me an error. Now it is showing as unresolved dependency, this one. So what I'll do is I'll just copy this, come to GitHub Copilot. I am getting this error, and I'll just paste it over here, and GitHub Copilot will understand. This error means Maven cannot find Selenium Java dependency version 4.19.1. The latest available is 4.18.1. So now we have started to focus on fixing some tests based on what error we are getting. Right now we added a dependency of Alwar, but it's throwing an error. Now we are asking GitHub Copilot, I'm getting this error and I need to modify. So GitHub Copilot is already aware what changes we have in our framework. So it has understood, it has slowly learned what is a framework and how we are ready to accept it. So it is giving a solution. So what I'll do is I'll just copy this and I'll look for Selenium Java. Okay, so what it's saying is 4.19.1 might not be working. So I'll have to search for this particular dependency. I'll just replace this dependency with 14.18, 4.18.1. Okay, now I'll click on sync Maven changes. Now I'm getting some other error. Now what error is it? Is jerkin. Okay, so could not resolve conflict among Cucumber 7. So what is happening is, because I added Alwar report, okay, Alwar Cucumber. So okay, so there is a dependency which is outside the dependencies. I'll just fix this and then click on Maven and see whether that fixes. No, it has not fixed yet. So it is showing again the unresolved dependency. So even 4.1, 18.1 is not working. Okay, so I'll copy this and give it to Copilot. I am still facing this issue, and I'll pass it to Copilot, and then you can see that it is asking us to run this particular command mvn clean install. Okay, so now what I'll do, I'll go to terminal, and within the terminal I'll just type here mvn clean install. I'll press enter, and it is giving an error. Okay, so I have come over here and you can see that there is a folder. So it is what GitHub Copilot is requesting me to do is, if the issue persists, delete the folder and perform the mvn clean install. So I'll delete this folder which GitHub Copilot is recommending me to do, and I'll just delete this Selenium Java. I'll right click, I'll click on delete, and I'll just close this. I'll come here in the terminal and then I will press mvn clean install. So I got another error about Cucumber. Okay, this time could not resolve among this particular version. So I'll just copy this and then press enter into ChatGPT, into GitHub Copilot. And what it's saying is I have to downgrade the Cucumber version. Okay, so I'll have to downgrade the dependency. Okay, so you can see that one issue and one solution is leading to many other issues. So all these can be resolved by GitHub Copilot. Now I'll just copy this, come back to Cucumber versions, and you can see that I was using 7.1.7.15.0. Okay, so I will remove this and replace this one, and I'll come here in the terminal and I'll press as mvn clean install, and you can see this time around the compilation is happening and the tests are also running. Okay, so the tests have completed. As you can see that I have got 3 tests, and out of that 2 have passed and 1 has failed. Okay, and I have purposefully failed one test, and I just want to check the report. Okay, report is in the Elver report. Now as GitHub Copilot suggested that post running this, what we can do is we can run a particular MVN command. Okay, so let me run the MVN command. So I'll just search for MVN alver report. I'll just run this particular command. And I've got an error over here. No plugins found for prefix alver in the current project and in the plugin groups. So I'll just copy this and I'll just paste it in GitHub Copilot. All right, so I have added it and let me check what GitHub Copilot responds. This error means that Maven cannot find the Allure plugin. You need to add the Allure report plugin to your pom.xml under build plugins. Add this to your pom.xml. So what I'll do is I'll just copy this build. I'll come to pom.xml file and over here I'll look for build project as such and I'll just add it down below. Okay. Now once I do that, I'll just click on refresh of M and then you can see that resolving and downloading plugins of this particular project. Okay. Now let me get this particular thing running and post that. Once this has been completed, I can run MVN Alver report again as a command and let's see whether our downloading is happening. Okay, so this time around what you can see is that it's downloading this particular dependency or the build. It is taking time and the build is success. And this time around something changed over here. Okay, so let me check here and you can see if I go to the target folder and within that you can see Allure Maven plugin, Allure Maven.html and Surefire reports has got generated. Okay, now apart from that you can see I was supposed to run a couple of commands. Okay, one was related to MVN Allure reports and another command which I was supposed to run right after that was MVN Allure serve. Okay, so let me press enter and let me look for. I got an error over here. We can see that the Allure report was skipped because there is no results in the directory found. So what's happening is even though we got results in our Maven status and Maven compiler, even if we go to Surefire reports, we are able to see some kind of commands over here, but the Allure report has not got generated. Generate Allure report with version this one, and you can see that I've got an error over here. Directory C drive Allure report not found. So what I'll do is I'll just copy this and then I'll come to GitHub Copilot and I'm just writing over here. I am still not able to get Allure reports. And then I'll click on send and GitHub Copilot says that this error means Allure could not find Allure report directory. This is where the test was saved. This usually happens if the test did not run or Allure report was not configured as a Cucumber plugin. Okay, so what are we missing over here is we are missing to configure the Cucumber test runner. So we will have to add this particular Cucumber options in our runner option. So what I'll do is I'll go to runner file, I'll go to test, I'll go to Java folder, I'll go to runners file, and here I will have to provide the Cucumber options. Okay, so what I'll do here, I will replace this Cucumber options with what is suggested by GitHub Copilot. I'll just copy this and I'll replace. And once that is done, run your test first. So we have to run the test and then we have to check whether this target Allure results are getting created or not. So if I go to target this one, you can see that target Allure reports directory is not created yet. Okay, so I'll just run this particular MVN clean test. I'll just copy and then I'll just paste it over here. And the compiler has started. Surefire reports have started. Okay, let me replace this to source because this is the path I like to provide. All right, so I've changed my glue statement, otherwise it will not run. And I'll come back here. I'll just run this ambient clean test again. Compiler has started. All right, so the test have started. All right, so this time around what I've done is I have ran 3 tests and I purposefully errored 2 steps. One has passed and I want to see how the report looks like. So what I do is I'll run the MVN Alver report. That's the first command that I'll run. So the build will happen. The build is successful. All right. So again, I'm getting this particular error, which is directory allow results not found. Now it seems like when I check with GitHub Copilot, I need to create a allure dot properties file under the test folder. So what I'll do is I'll right click, I'll add a new, I'll add a file, and it will be allure dot properties file as such. And over here, I'll add the allure report allure properties, and I'll provide the allure results directory. Okay, so I'm providing target allure results as such, and I'll rerun the mvn allure report command and recheck on this. And I'll have to provide one more properties file, which is JUnit platform properties. So I'll just add that as well. I'll just right click, I'll add a new, and then I'll add this JUnit platform dot properties dot properties, then press enter. Now over here, I'll have to provide the JUnit details, and I'll save this file, and I'll rerun this particular command, which is mbn allure report. All right, so after running the three tests, as well as you can see, we have got the target allure results getting appeared over here. Under the target, we are able to get a folder called allure results. Now what we'll do is we will run this particular command mbn allure report, and we'll check whether the report is getting generated. And you can see that we got a success, build success as well. And this time around, what we have got is report generated successfully. Okay, now what we'll do is we will run this particular command, which is mbn allure serve. Okay, and then I'll press enter, and we'll just wait for generating of the report. And you can see a report has got generated, which is showing that three tests have passed, 100% success has been reached, and we can see different parameters over here. If I click on this particular link, first link, you can see that I am passing this particular variable, which is laptop, which has taken around 21 seconds of time. Then I click on book. You can see that it has taken 22 seconds of time. There is headphones, which has taken around 20 seconds of time. Okay, so all three tests have passed. If I click on Allure report as such, you can see three test cases passed, and Amazon search is a suite name, and the features by story is also appearing as Amazon search. Okay, so this is the local setup. You can see the IP address is locally set up, and the index .html as such, and we can check the timelines as well, how much time it has really taken. And you can see other parameters as well, that how many specific environments have been set up, the timelines, behavior, packages as such. Okay, so this is the beauty of it. You can get all the details using GitHub Copilot. The GitHub Copilot has provided all the details to us, and we have specifically framed this framework, test automation framework, with BDD approach, and we have set up the Allure report as well, which beautiful report gets generated from BDD approach as well, and which has been helped through using GitHub Copilot as such. All right. Now that we have successfully implemented our BDD approach using Selenium, and we did it in the IntelliJ as an ID, and that's a JetBrains ID. We used Java to set up our framework. We could get the Cucumber report as well. As you can see, we could check the report got generated for the BDD. Now, because we achieved it, now we will try to set it up as a playwright in Visual Studio Code. Okay, now previously what we did is we connected the GitHub Copilot to our Visual Studio Code, and what we did is we actually entered a certain prompt in our chat for setting up the playwright test as well. So what you can do is you can look at the chat what I had written. I want to write automated test for amazon.co.au, and this is the website I need to be in the framework of playwright. Okay, so um, this is the folder that I had created. It's an empty folder, right, in the Playwright GitHub Co, and you can see that in fact it is giving me, that is a GitHub Copilot has prompted me back. It has given me a response based on the prompt I sent across. I sent it across as a natural language, and it got converted into a response that to write a automated test for amazon.co.au using Playwright with Cucumber framework, please follow these steps. Okay, so all the steps are given. So it's probably 5 6 steps. 6 steps have been provided, and let's add these steps and see whether that really works or not. So you can see that there is an npm init y. Those are the commands. Please note that I have specifically set up Playwright previously in my project as well. There is a YouTube channel, YouTube video based on that on my channel as well, and you can go and check how I had set up the Visual Studio, how I installed Visual Studio, how I installed Node, how I installed npm. So please note, I have Visual Studio code already present in my machine. I already have Node in my machine, and I have already npm in my machine. Okay, so based on that prerequisite, let me proceed with this particular commands which GitHub Copilot is trying to give me. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll probably go to terminal. So I'll just go to terminal over here. I'll just click on new terminal. And over here, what I do is I'll just copy this particular command, which is npm init -y. Okay, and I just press enter, and you can see that this particular package is there, which is Playwright GitHub Copilot. So this particular thing has not installed Playwright into this folder yet. There is another command which we need to supply. So what I'll do is I'll just copy this particular command, and I'll just copy it from the prompt that came from GitHub Copilot. I'll just enter over here in the terminal, and what the terminal is doing is it's installing the Playwright in our folder. Okay, now it will take a little bit of time because this particular command is run as well. Now you can see that there was around 165 packages. So you can see a new folder that has got created, node underscore modules, so which contains our Playwright as well. And post this, what has been advised to us is project structure example. So you can see that similar to what we did it in Selenium as well, we will have to set up this folder structure so that is more configurable as well. So what I'll do is I'll set up a folder over here, which is tests. So all right, so I'll have to go into Playwright, GitHub, and I'll just create a folder over here, which is tests. And under test, we will have to create one more folder, which is features. All right, now I created a folder called test. Under that, there is a folder called features, and under that there is a file. Okay, so which is Amazon dot feature, and that has been supplied already. And within that test, there is another folder which is called as steps. So I'll create another folder over here, which is steps. And within steps, what I'll do is I'll create another file. Okay, so this is a TypeScript file, or it's a Playwright or a JavaScript file. What I'll do is I'll click on new file, and over here I'll just supply the name Amazon dot steps.ts. Okay, so what it shows is it's a TypeScript file, and apart from that, there has to be another file which has to be under Playwright config. Okay, so within GitHub Copilot uh, folder as such. Okay, so I'll just go to this folder, and I'll create a folder, or I'll create a file over here. I'll come to this particular terminal, and I'll just type over here touch playwright dot config dot ts. All right, so we created a file which is playwright.config, and we'll create one more file which is tsconfig.json. All right, so we created all the folders that is required. You can see that we have installed Playwright. So step number 1 and step number 2 are done. Structure is complete. And then we'll go to sample feature file. So what it's requesting us to do, GitHub Copilot, is go to amazon.feature and add this particular feature file. Okay, so I'll just come over here and I'll add the feature file. I'll just save this and I'll go to extensions, and over here I'll just add Cucumber as well as one of my um, extension. So I'll just click on trust. Right, I'll come back, and then you can see there is a particular symbol which is coming, right, which is coming as Cucumber. And now what I'll do is I'll go to step number 4, which is step definitions. Okay, so I don't have to write anything. All the step definitions are ready for me. So what I'll do is I'll go to amazon.steps.ts. I'll just copy this particular content. I'll come here and I'll just paste it over here. Okay. Uh, Now what I'll do is I'll come to Cucumber configurations, add to package.json. Okay, so I'll come here, package.json, and you can see that there is a scripts tag already. I'll just replace this with scripts tag. Okay, so I have done that, and now it's saying run your test. Now what I'll do is I'll come to terminal and I'll just write here npm test and then press on my keyboard. Okay, now I got an error over here, no test specified. I just click on debug, and you can see what's happening is it has clicked on npm run test, and it has given me an error that Cucumber can run only on Node.js version 2022 and greater than 2022, and this Node.js version is of 18. So I will have to upgrade Node version as such. So I'm getting this error. I'll just copy this and I'll ask GitHub Copilot, I am getting this error. I'll just paste the message and let's see what GitHub Copilot responds back. So it is saying that you need to upgrade your Node.js version to 2022 or 24 or higher. So what it's saying is that go to this particular link, which is download, and download the Windows installer for Node.js 20 or newer version. So I'll just click on this link and I'll just go to this link, which is Node.js, and over here there is a version 22. So I'll just click on Windows installer link as such, and I think it's got downloaded. So I'll just copy this, or it's probably there already. Now I'll just double click. All right, so I'll go into the folder. I'll double click on this Node.js. It's preparing to install. So my node was not up to date. I'll go for an upgrade. I have accepted the terms and conditions. I'll click on next, and I'll click on install. Now installing node.js, and please wait while the setup wizard install node.js. We're waiting for the setup to get completed. So we'll wait for the node.js to get upgraded. All right, so node.js setup wizard has got completed. I'll just click on finish. Now once that got completed, I'll come to terminal, and as suggested over here, I'll just copy the node command and just type it over here, node-v, and you can see the version got upgraded 22. So what was suggested by GitHub Copilot has kind of helped. Now I'll just run this npm run test as well again, and you can see that we have got another error. Now it's saying that return binding read file. So I'm not able to understand what this error is. So let's see what GitHub Copilot says about this. I'm getting this error, and let's see what exactly is common on Windows, especially when the one is accessed. Okay, so what it's saying is run this command, and then let's see. I'll run these commands. All right, so at least our error is gone. You can see that there is another error which is coming. At least we have entered the stage where the Cucumber runs or Playwright test is running. At least it has failed, but it is showing some other error. Okay, at least uh, those commands which ran over here, right, which is removing of node modules and then reinstalling it again, has worked. But we are getting some other error of Playwright. Now let's see what is this error. So what I'll do is I'll just copy this and enter over here. I am getting this error. I just paste it over here, and let's see what GitHub Copilot responds. This error means Playwright browser binaries are missing or corrupted. Okay, so it is asking me to reinstall or do an npx Playwright install. So I'll just copy and paste it over here, and I'll just wait for the installation to get completed. So you can see what's happening is Playwright is getting installed again because the previous Playwright browser binaries are missing or corrupted. That's the reason it couldn't run. So we'll wait for this installation to get completed. All right, so our installation has got completed now, and we will again perform our test, which is npm run test of Playwright, and the debugger has attached, and we got an error over here, which is error function time dot ensure the promise resolves within 5 milliseconds. So what really has happened is there was a timeout as such, and let's resolve this as well. We'll check with GitHub Copilot. I'm getting an error for timing issue with Playwright, and I'll just pass these details. So it's saying that the error means one of your step definition taking longer than Cucumber's default time, which is 5 seconds. You can increase the test step time. Okay, so what we can do is we can set up 30 minutes time in the hooks. Okay, so in steps, so if I go to my project structure within the test as such, we can add it in the tests under steps. I'll create one more file, which is hooks.ts, and within hooks we will add this particular step. Okay, so hooks is something which is which would run before the test itself, and please make sure you are putting a wait for your Playwright actions. So it is giving us some update as well, like as in we can go to this particular test step. So let's go to the test step, and over here input 2-tab search. So there is, you can see that we are putting this 2-tab search over here. So we will add a page wait before it fills. So we have updated this timing, and let's rerun the test now. I'll come to terminal, I'll run the npm run tests, and this time around we have put the timing of around 30 seconds of time by default, and you can see that one scenario has passed and 3 test steps have passed. Okay, so this time around the tests have passed, and if you notice, I have not particularly had to search any selectors from website of amazon.com.au. GitHub Copilot itself supplied me all the selectors. Now it could understand that there is an input to tab search text box. It could understand that there is a button that we have to click. I have not supplied any of the selectors. It's automatically picked up all the selectors and it has shown those selectors as well. Okay, now what I'll do is I want to add a report as well. So add a report to view my test results in this folder. So I just supplied this and let's see what GitHub responds back. So GitHub is saying that you can install Cucumber HTML reporter, and let's do that. So I'll just copy and I'll just come here in my terminal and I'll install Cucumber HTML reporter. So what it will do is it will install the Cucumber HTML reporter. Alright, so our Cucumber HTML reporter has been added. Now we need to update our scripts. So what I'll do is I'll copy the steps. I'll go to package.json, and over here I will replace the testing command and I'll just add it over here, Cucumber report.json. And once that is done, create a reporter script. So what we have to do is in the project reporter, we will have to supply this. So what I'll do is I'll come here, I'll add a new file, and over here I'll add a new file as such, which is generate report dot javascript, and over here I'll just pass this reporter file. Alright, so once that is done, what I'll do is I'll rerun my test. After running your test, npm test, run this particular, which is node generate report.js, okay, which is fine. So what I'll do is npm test, I'll just run it, this particular command, and I'll wait for the test to get completed. So my 3 test steps are done. My scenario has passed. Post that, I am supposed to run this particular command, which is node generate report.js. I'll just enter that, and you can see that waiting for this one, and this particular report has got generated successfully. Okay, so what has happened is it has generated the report over here. Okay, and if I open the report, I just open the report over here, and you can see it has created a beautiful report. Now it has taken around 3 seconds of time, and you can see that Amazon search has worked, and one past scenario, one feature is there, one scenario is there. All the details are captured over here in the Cucumber report. Okay, so that's how we generate, uh, we set up the framework using Playwright and in the BDD framework as such using GitHub Copilot, and we could generate the report as well. Now, please note that if you want to see more of GitHub Copilot and different frameworks as such, do like, share, comment, and then let us know in comments as well what would you like to see next, so that we can bring that across as well. In this particular video, you could successfully at least quickly generate the framework as well as the report in the Java Selenium framework and Playwright JavaScript framework as well, so that you can increase your productivity in your framework setup as well as save lot of time.